Hi, I'm Panther, and today I'll be your DJ instructor. Today we will be going over beat matching, what it is, how it works, and how to do it on all sorts of equipment. Now, I will also be going over a little bit of EQ, which was the subject of my last tutorial, but only a very rudimentary form. For more in-depth on EQ, there'll be a link in the description for that specific tutorial. Now, for beat matching, what is it? A lot of DJs will say, you press sync and you call it a day. Now, that's not what I'm here to teach. I'm here to teach the proper way of doing it manually and why you should be doing it manually. Now, software has given us quite a bit of a helping hand in DJing with stuff like sync that beat matching has kind of phased out the old way. But if you can do it the right way or the manual way, then you'll find that you'll have a lot more fun while DJing, and also it'll leave you for a lot more creative stuff down the line. It is also a very useful skill because even when you're using software, sometimes your software isn't as reliable, it analyzed wrong, the BPMs are not quite right, but you can still beat match it and you can still mix it because you rely on your ear, not your software, to beat match. Now, that is a very important point, relying on your ear. What does that mean? It means that when you're playing a song, that you use your ears to figure out if you're beat matched or not beat matched. Now, the easiest way of beat matching is if you have a controller or CDJs, or in my case also with digital vinyl, is to just simply listen to the rhythm and listen to the rhythm of the new song and then matching them together. How do you do that? Well, first things first, let's talk BPM. BPM stands for beats per minute. What that is how many beats in 1 minute occur in a song. That means if you have a 4/4 beat going boom, 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 or like this, that's a 4/4 beat. And that is running at 124 beats per minute. So in 1 minute, 124 times, you'll hear that. The next thing to make sure we're doing is that both of our songs are in the same BPM. If they're not in the same BPM, you'll hear interesting stuff like you constantly needing to adjust the speed of one song or the other in order to stay beat matched. When you have songs that are playing out of phase, it sounds like this. Now, as you could probably hear, and as you could probably see, I constantly had to adjust because the BPMs were not lined up. My player on the right was running at 125, and my vinyl was running at 124. So when you are playing that, one of the songs will slowly but surely drift out of phase, which is why matching up the BPMs is so important. How do you adjust BPM? Well, use a pitch slider. On my right, I have a CDJ. On my left, I have a turntable. Let's go over the CDJ first because it is the closest to a controller or whatever setup most DJs use today. For me, the pitch slider is to the right of the jog wheel right here. Here's my jog wheel. Here's my pitch slider. If I put the pitch slider up, I'll slow down the song. I put it back to 0, and I got a little light, and it tells me it's at 0. If I put the pitch fader down, I'll speed up the song. Okay, that's all well and good, but how do I get it to an exact BPM? Well, a software, or in my case, also my standalone equipment, will actually tell me what BPM a song is in, and I can pitch it up or down to match it to exactly that BPM. There are some caveats, however. There's a thing called pitch rules, and it means how much percent pitch, so you go up 1 or down a BPM. So what does it mean with a pitch roll? Well, at 128 BPM, the pitch roll is 0.8 of a percent is 1 BPM. So if I were to be at 128 and I need to go to 129, I would pitch plus 0.8% to be at exactly 129. In my case, I'm at 124, and I can also pitch it 0.8% to be at around 125. Now, you don't have to be perfectly accurate, and a good way to figure out certain pitch rules is to actually use software, press sync, see how much it pitched to get it to a certain BPM, and memorize it. Now, as a counterexample, the faster your BPM, the less you need to pitch up or down to go up or down a BPM. So if I were to DJ drum and bass, for instance, that runs at between 170 and around 180. Now let's say I need to go from 174 to 175. That would be about 0.6%. And of course, let's say I need to go from 175 to 174 or 174 to 173. It would also be negative 0.6%. So that settles BPM, right? So now let's get into the actual practical beat matching. In this case, to actually demonstrate regular beat matching, I'll make sure that the BPMs are the same. My track on the right is at 124, and as you can see right there, you can see Tractor, which is this, right? That's my vinyl. You'll see it's also at 124. Right now, I know it's displaying 0. That's because of how digital vinyl works, but at the very bottom, it says base BPM, and that's 124. So let's try and actually play the track and actually beat match. And let me show you. Okay, so we hit play, and already it sounds pretty beat match. It sounds pretty good, right? Let's adjust it a little bit. Now it seems pretty much perfect, right? Let's adjust it even more. Suddenly it's not so beat matched anymore. All right, let's turn it the other way. And we're beat matched. All right, now I just reset everything. So let's keep something important in mind. What we just heard is 2 songs playing together and they were matched, and at some points they weren't matched. Now, when I move the jog wheel, in my case, my CDJs actually tell me if I move it clockwise, I'll move the song forward. If I move it counterclockwise, then I'll move the song backwards. So what it does actually is speed up and slow down the song ever so slightly. That's what primarily a jog wheel does. The reason I touched it from the side is because I actually have vinyl mode enabled. So if I were to touch the top of it, let me just demonstrate. It would stop because it acts like a vinyl. But if I turn it, you can hear it slow down if I'm turning it counterclockwise, and hear it speed up when I'm turning it clockwise. So that's the principle behind beat matching and why you should use your jog wheels. So what you want to do is use these to do small adjustments so that two tracks will play not just in the same speed, but that the beats will line up and it will sound fluid. You may have also noticed that I turned the bass knob down on the track I was introducing. This is going back to EQ. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't want elements of the new song overpowering elements of the old song. This keeps the mix nice and clean, and it is the most important aspect, right? So now that we have this, now you have seen how to beat match on a CDJ. In fact, actually, let's do it again, and this time I'll try and be more out of phase and simply beat match by listening to it. There we go. So let's adjust. Oh, it sounds worse if I turn it that way. Sounding better when I turn it this way. And voila, we're beat matched. Now, that's cool and all. Now you get the basics down. But I've been playing from vinyl to a CDJ. How do you beat match on vinyl? Well, since I already have it here, I'll show you. So this time we're going to do the inverse. This song is going to be playing, and we're going to bring this song in. Now, before I do that, you may have noticed that I was hitting the Q button. This will actually help you stay in beat. So if you hear a song playing, you can tap along and listen to that kick in your headphones, and it'll help you stay on beat, and then eventually hit play at the right time. Now, little side note, most players and most controllers will allow you to press and hold Q and then press the play button, and you can let go and the song will play. So if you're practicing cueing so you can beat match, it's good practice to hit and hold it. Hit and hold it, and then hit and hold it and press play when you're ready. Now, let's do this whole thing on vinyl. So let's play the track. You're going to hear me scratch in. That sounds pretty good. Now let's do some adjustments. So, same principle as on a CDJ, we want to speed up and slow down a song. How do we speed up a vinyl? Well, you put your hand on it lightly and give it a little bit of a shove. Now, how do you slow it down? You touch the edge of the platter and slow down the actual physical playing speed. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So now you've seen how to beat match on a CDJ / a controller and how to beat match on a vinyl. Overall, the principles are not too different. It's just different where you touch things. On vinyl, if you want to speed it up, you touch it on the top and you give it a very light nudge, right? What you want to do is you want to kind of put your finger on here and just ever so slightly speed it up with the rhythm. It's going to take some practice, but you'll get used to it if you ever get around and have the chance to. To slow it down, you can touch it anywhere on the edges, right? Edges of a spinning platter to physically slow down the platter to make the song play slower. So those are the fundamentals of beat matching. And one more thing that I should go over is you heard me scratch or baby scratch. Now, normally, I wouldn't have these faders up while I'm beat matching. I would listen to it in my headphones. As you can see, I would have these two lights that are flashing up. That means I'm listening to them in my headphones. For demonstration purposes, I had both faders up, right? But what you want to do is you want to use your headphones to do that beat matching. Now, what cue means is cue will send it to your headphones, and if your faders are down, you can still hear it, right? That's how you do most of the magic and introduce new songs and make sure the audience only hears the good parts. Another thing of note is that most DJ equipment also have a cue and mix knob, or cue and master knob. This knob, for me, it's right here on my mixer here, the one I'm turning. So this knob, if it's all the way on cue, only the ones where you hit cue will be in your headphones. But if the more you turn it towards master, the more you hear of what the audience is hearing. You can use that to bleed in and beat match however you want, depending on your setup. Now, I have speakers on my desk and I can hear the master. So what I have is I have one of my headphones, or at least one side of my headphones, on and the other is off. So I can hear the master on my left ear and I can hear the cue on my right. And I would beat match like that. But also, I listen to both songs on cue and beat match like that as well. That comes down to personal preference of how things are done. Now, back to scratching. I went off track there a little bit. The reason I scratched or baby scratched was because that is essentially for vinyl, that's the cue button, right? So instead of going like this, I have to go and play like this. Now, this helps you stay in the rhythm just as much as this does. But it takes a little bit more practice. I think that is all that I can cover for beat matching tonight. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. Please leave me any feedback via if you have me on Discord, then contact me on Discord. Otherwise, leave a comment here on YouTube. And I hope you have a good learning experience and happy practicing.